Mystic Voices. Mystic Voices brings you spiritual leaders from all over the world to talk about their work and their enlightenment journey and to add eye-opening dimensions to your spiritual path. Today I'm being joined by George Lizos. He is an intuitive healer and the author of the best-selling book, Lightworkers Gotta Work. George helps lightworkers overcome fears and limiting beliefs that prevent them from finding and following their soul purpose and their spiritual path. This is a very interesting talk. I hope you enjoy it.
Right, everyone, we're here with George Lizos to talk about everything intuitive, light workers. He is a light worker. We have so much to talk about. Just before we jumped on here, he is from Cyprus, and as you all guys know, I'm also like a quarter Greek, so we had a lot to talk about. And obviously, we both have spiritual practices, and we put ourselves out there to help everyone with their spiritual journey. So let's jump right in because we don't have that much time, unfortunately, today. Right. Hi, George. How are you?
Hello. I am so good, Natalie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited you made it. I know we had a little bit of a hiccup. We were supposed to have this interview a couple of weeks ago, but I had a little bit of an emergency, but we made it and I'm excited and I'm super happy. And I love your energy, George. Absolutely.
Yes. You too, all in perfect time. And it was the perfect timing for it.
There are no coincidences, right, in life.
Indeed.
And light workers, healers know this very well. Right, let's jump right in. So now is a time of ascension for the world. We definitely feel it, but I feel that more and more people are feeling it too. I have a lot of clients who come to me and they're like, I don't understand what's going on with me. I'm not sleeping well. I'm depressed. I feel anxious. My ears are ringing. What the hell is going on, with that? And it's very hard to explain in a sense what they're feeling, but it is part of this collective ascension that whether we like it or not, whether we're ready or not, is happening. And we're going to be feeling it more and more. So can you tell me a little bit how light workers can help the collective through this ascension?
Yes, of course. So in my book, Lightworkers Gotta Work, I coined the term Ascension Lightworkers. So Ascension Lightworkers are old, mature souls who have been incarnating on planet Earth time and time again for this purpose, to help in the ascension of the planet, to help ascend the Earth's software, so to speak. So these are a special breed of lightworkers, because a lightworker is anyone who makes a conscious choice of making the world a better place. But Ascension Lightworkers, they've been on a mission over many different lifetimes to come to use their spiritual skills and talents to help upgrade the Earth's software. So how do we do that? The number one step we need to take is get clear on what our life's purpose is. And in Lightworkers Gotta Work, I talk about the 4 purposes of lightworkers, because usually when I ask lightworkers, what's your life purpose? I hear the same answer, which is, I want to help make the world a better place, or I want to help people heal. And what I always tell them is that that's our collective life purpose. That's one of the 4 purposes of lightworkers, which is a collective lightworker purpose. Then we have our soul realm purpose. Soul realms are groups of souls with unique collective purposes drawing from the collective lightworker purpose. And then we have our soul purpose, which is a purpose fulfilled over a series of lifetimes, again, drawing from the soul realm purpose. So we all belong in a different soul realm. We have a collective soul realm purpose, and then we have a soul purpose, which is a series of lifetimes to fulfill it. And then we have our life purpose, which is a step towards fulfilling our soul purpose. And therefore, it's a single lifetime with a very specific mission that we have to fulfill to move forward with it. So number one step to helping in the ascension of the planet, get clear on a life purpose. And that's exactly what people get to do in Lightworkers Gotta Work.
Right, and you teach energy protection, past life regression, and manifestation is one of the many things that you also teach.
Yes.
I want to ask you, regarding okay, energy protection is pretty much straightforward, why we all need it, why everyone needs to protect their energy, especially now. But I want to go through to talk about a little bit of past life regression, which, as you know, is a hot topic for people who are just discovering their spiritual, let's say, path, or who have their enlightenment at the moment. Why is it so important to understand your past life? I mean, definitely due to karmic blockages and karmic lessons, etc. So can you dwell a little bit more into that?
Yes, great question. So essentially, we are not just our current lifetime, we're all the lifetimes we've ever had. But when we incarnate into this lifetime, we forget our previous lifetimes. Our physical body, our personality, our psyche forgets, but our soul never forgets. So when we step into the identity of our eternal self, and that's what a past life regression allows us to do, to access our eternal self and all our past lives, we get to do so much. Firstly, we can identify past life traumas. So traumas we've had in past lives, whether these have been karmic blocks and vows and contracts or whatever negative experience we've been through, and resolve those past life traumas that essentially affect and create present life traumas and affect our beliefs about who we are and the world. And therefore we get to speed up our personal development journey and our healing journey when we do that. We can also get to retrieve past life skills. So identify skills we had mastered in past lives and retrieve that knowledge into our present life body, which will speed up our ability in this lifetime to develop and master those skills. But also we get to see what part of our soul purpose we are in, because if a soul purpose is a purpose fulfilled over several lifetimes, we get to see, okay, now I'm in my final lifetime to fulfilling this soul purpose, or I'm in the beginning lifetime, so I know that this lifetime is about gathering the information about my soul purpose so I can fulfill it. So I don't like to use past life regression as just a tool for spiritual entertainment. Oh, I'm curious, let's see who I was in a past life. I always use whatever tool I use it for this purpose, to help lightworkers get clear on their life purpose so they can follow and fulfill it.
It's fascinating what you're saying, because I see that too when I do past life readings for clients, because they feel that there's some kind of attachment there that's following them through this life, and they don't know how to sort of like understand it and get rid of it. And you know what's funny, that most people, it's in your subconscious. Even before I read and tell them things about their past life, they know that already. It starts making sense. It's really fascinating how it sort of blends in. It's almost like all our past lives are not even like separate. It's like one strip. It's like one movie. It's just that you have like break for advertisements in the middle. And that's how I see it. It's like one long strip that it's segregated, and then it's up to you how you're going to make this all cohesive and work for you in your current life. I don't know how you see that.
Yeah, essentially when we step out of this 3D world we live in and perceive life from the eyes of our soul, there's no time and there's no space. It's all happening in the now. So all our past lives and all our future lives and our present lifetime, they're all happening at the same time. But it's really hard for our human mind to understand this. That's why we separate them as past lives and future lifetimes. And that's why our past life affect who we are in the present moment, because it's all happening in the present moment.
It's all happening in the present moment. And it's fascinating how kids remember their past lives, especially younger ones, because they are the ones until the age of 4 or 5 approximately. A lot of children are, and even your children, they don't have to give you details. I mean, to the people who watch, the viewers who are watching, they don't have to remember details, but they have that energy still lingering. And it depends, how soon they reincarnate and all that. So this is a very fascinating topic generally, and it's something that everyone should look into. It really helps. You really should go visit a healer or a light worker to help you figure things out. It's fascinating. Now let's talk a little bit about, before we go on, I just wanted to ask you, how did you get into this? How did you discover you were a light worker? How did you get into the spiritual practice?
Okay, so it all started right here in Cyprus where I grew up. So essentially, right from the start, when I was the first memory I have of myself, like 5-year-old George in a field of yellow daisies, just staring up at the sky and wondering, why am I here? What is the purpose of life? So I was one of those weird kids asking the big questions and wondering what's it all about. And because, as you know, in like small communities tend to be very judgmental, they expect you to be a certain way. So because I was so different from other kids my age, I didn't have the same interests. I was bullied a lot when I was a kid. So I grew up thinking, and that's how I forgotten my connection to my light, essentially, because we're born light workers. We just forget it or not, we turn it on or not. So because I was bullied a lot and I was felt judged by the system, by friends, by family, by everything, I decided that I had to change myself to fit into other people's expectations of me. So, and that's what I did throughout my childhood. So by the age of 13 years old, when I found out I was gay, and at that time in Cyprus, like growing up in the 90s, it wasn't something that was like widely accepted. Gay people were considered to be pedophiles and criminals, and it was certainly a label I didn't want to take on. So I'm like, great, I'm just gonna change myself from gay to straight one step at a time, like I did with everything else in my life. And of course, it doesn't work this way because you're born this way. So I entered a very debilitating 2 years of my life where every single day from 13 to 15 years old, I tried to change who I was. I tried to monitor the way I walked, the way I expressed myself, the way I talked. I reached a very depressing moment in my life where at the age of 15 years old, I realized that I can't change myself. So the only possible pathway for me was to take my own life. So it was in that very dark moment in my life, right before I decided to put an end to it, that I had an epiphany. And that epiphany was, you know what? Fuck what people say, what society says, what the church says, and just learn to love and accept yourself exactly as you are. And I had no idea how to go about doing so. I had no idea how to love and accept myself because all I experienced from myself and other people was judgment and self-loathing. So, but you know how the universe works. Like when you show up for you, the universe shows up for you. So my willingness to change opened up a door and brought to me books and teachers and modalities that helped me learn to love myself, accept myself, forgive myself and my bullies, and start empowering myself. And that's the pathway that led me to publish my first book, Be the Guru, a step-by-step guide to becoming your own spiritual teacher, which was all about finding all the love and acceptance and wisdom you need within you and not depending on others to do so. And that was the beginning of the continuation, shall I say, of my Lightworker journey.
It's interesting because I also had mine around that same age. And I guess when you're a teenager and you're trying to figure out your identity and you're trying to figure out what your place is in the world is when you're hit hard. When you hit hard, when you start realizing that you're different in any way, not just your sexuality or the way that you look, but you're different, like you feel different than all the other people. That's how I also felt. And it's fascinating how, and obviously because we are healers and we are empaths, we are also picking up on other people's energy. So that was very confusing. And the younger you are, the harder it is for you to figure things out. But here we are, just a few years later, and here we are doing this. So and we're going to see more and more people discovering that side of themselves, who they really are, and being in touch with the light. So, but it brings us to the topic of manifestation, because you said that yourself somewhat, saying that, you really sort of set your mind on something, on what you want to do as soon as you discovered your true calling, your light calling. So let's talk a little bit of manifestation. I've talked about it on my channel too, but I would like to hear from you as well. How can people manifest? How does it work? Why is it important to do manifestation or to do visualization too?
So I have an interesting perspective on manifestation.
Okay.
The part 2 of my book is all about working your light. Sorry, part 3, working your light, which is all about manifesting. But I talk about manifestation as a collaboration with the universe. Because many times when people talk about the law of attraction, they think about it in a very superficial way. Like it's all about like, okay, obsessing about something, like faking it till you make it and it's going to happen. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
There is also soul contracts involved. So
Right.
we have soul contracts and promises and plans we make before we incarnate into like this lifetime that we need to fulfill. So I don't want to say that some things are destined to happen or some things are fated to happen, but certain opportunities are destined to come up and we get to choose. We have the free will to choose whether we want to follow them or not. So it's very important to have a more awakened perspective about manifestation and always manifest by thinking, is this in alignment from our soul? Is this in alignment with our life purpose? And that's the difference that I talk about in the book between ego work and light work. When it's ego work, it comes from ego. You're disconnected from source, you're disconnected from your life purpose, and you just want to satisfy some external need for validation. And you want to manifest the amazing house and the car and the like zillions of money for the wrong reasons. There's nothing wrong with manifesting all of that, as long as they're in alignment with your life purpose. So when our perspective is, I want to be aligned with my life purpose and I want to manifest a life purpose, and when you do that and you take time to connect with source, with your spiritual practice, you receive inspired guidance about the action steps you need to take and about the manifestation steps that you need to follow to allow what it is that your soul wants to bring forth into the world to come into the world. So manifestation is collaboration with the universe. And you asked about like what is the practical perspective behind this. So I share so many tools in the book, but I want to share something that's very basic around manifesting. It's not our thoughts that manifest, it's our emotions that manifest. Our thoughts create emotions. And it is the emotion and therefore the vibrational frequency we emit that the law of attraction responds to. So that is the basis that I teach around manifestation, around all the practices that I include in the book.
That's really interesting. I like that. I like the way you said that. I like the way you put it. It makes a lot of sense for people who don't understand how that works. That's very spot on. And it's also part of law of attraction as well. It kind of works the same way. Do you want to also talk about that? Because everyone wants to talk about law of attraction.
The law of attraction is what creates manifestation. But the question is, people say like, oh, law of attraction is the most powerful law in the universe. It's not. It's one of the laws in the universe. And it's a law in the universe that has to abide with the other laws in the universe, such as the law of gravity. So you may want to fly, but because the law of gravity exists, the law of attraction cannot trump that. So how can it be the most powerful law in the universe? So it's important to have a very grounded perspective about the law of attraction, that yes, it's a powerful law and it's a law, but there are other laws as well that work in alignment. And for the law of attraction to work, it has to be in alignment with all the other laws in the universe. Such as the soul contracts you make, that's another law. The law of free will, another law. And since we're both Greek, I want to talk a little bit about that. So the ancient Greeks, they had an interesting perspective about destiny and fate. They talked about the three goddesses, the three fates, who are Clotho, Lachesis, and Atropos. And what these three fates are. Clotho determines the main events that will show up in your life as opportunities for you to take, not destined to happen, opportunities. They will, like the opportunity, the idea to write this book, for example, was like predetermined essentially. Then, so that's Clotho, yes. Lachesis,
yeah.
or have I think that I mixed them around. Lachesis is the one who determines the main events. Clotho is the one who essentially knits them into creation, like brings them into creation. It's a Greek word of like knitting, Clotho.
Yeah, right.
Or like the spinster, the spinner, okay? And then we have Atropos, which decides when your life will be taken, therefore the end of the lifetime. So it's very interesting that over thousands and thousands of years, this idea about destiny and the law of attraction has been here. So we're essentially rediscovering what the ancients have already known. These are ideas that have been around for thousands and thousands of years.
And more people, I agree with you, and it's fascinating the way you describe it. And it's also more and more people realize the power of the law of attraction and
Yes.
how it works, and more powerful people or successful people rely on the law of attraction to attract what it is they want to do. But here's the catch. You cannot attract, you cannot go about it with greed. You cannot go about it. Let's just say that to people as well, because I don't want everyone to believe that you can just manifest or attract anything. As you said, if you're not aligned, if the universe is not aligned, if you haven't let's say, agreed when you were agreeing to your soul contract, it's not going to happen. It has to be, it's all about, I guess, how we're going to call it, divine timing as well.
It's soul-led manifestation. That's what it's all about. Are you manifesting? Is your soul manifesting, or is your ego manifesting? This is a basic rule of thumb. Yes, that you need to be asking. Who wants this car? Is it my soul or is it my ego? How do you know? When you had that desire, did it come out of a state of alignment with who you really are? Did it come out of a state of pure happiness, or out of a state to satisfy someone else's needs and a sense of get a sense of validation from someone?
Speaking about ego, let's talk a little bit. It's a good segue to get me to the how to cut energetic cords of attachment. And this has to do with ego as well. But you recently talked about it on your Instagram, and I made a note of it because I think this is a really good topic to talk about. But I'll just let you explain what that means and how it works.
So in part 4 of Lightworkers Gotta Work, it's about energy protection. And in that part, I talk about the 5 main energy attachments. Energy attachments we have, essentially forms of energy attack. And one of them are toxic cords of attachment. Now, energetic cords of attachment are energetic attachments we have to anything we have a relationship with. It could be people, it could be places, it could be objects, it could be past lives, it could be events in our life, it could be ideas, it could be beliefs. Literally, everything we have a relationship with, we have an energetic cord that clairvoyantly you can see it as a cord extending from your body and going and connecting to the person, place, thing, whatever it is. Now, the question is, are those cords, are those attachments supporting our fulfillment of our life purpose, or are they hindering it? Are they limiting us? And specifically around relationships, that's easy to understand. Let's say we are in a relationship with someone and the relationship falls apart and we move separate ways. If we don't take the time to identify and cut those cords, these toxic cords that we have with that person, we're still in a relationship with them energetically. So even if we don't talk to them, we don't relate to them, they're still able to feel our emotions, send us thoughts, send us emotions, send us energy. And therefore, that's why it takes years and years for people to find closure from relationships and just resolve and move on. And they're so attached because energetically, those connections are there. But especially when it comes to our life purpose, we have cords of attachment to collective thought forms. Collective thought forms are vibrational clouds of energy around different belief systems. So let's say we have a fear of failure. Chances are we have a cord of attachment connecting us to the vibrational frequency, the collective thought form of that fear of failure. And we're hooked into it. And however much cognitive work we do to resolve and retrain our mind and our subconscious mind, because energetically we're connected to it, we're being fed a steady stream of ideas and energy and thoughts and emotions that keep us stuck and hooked into these limiting beliefs. That's why it's so important to identify and release those limiting beliefs. And in Lightworkers Gotta Work, I guide people through processes to both identify and release them.
And how do you get rid of limiting beliefs?
Okay, there has to be a cognitive approach. Yes, there has to be a cognitive approach to it, and there has to be an energetic approach. Energetically, you identify your energetic connection, the cord of attachment you have to it, and you release it. Cognitively, there are so many different ways. You can journal about them by identify them. You can go to therapy. That's the most mainstream approach to go about it. A question that I like asking people is, when was the first time you remember having this limiting belief? Because that's going to take you back to all the memories in your childhood specifically where you were taught that limiting belief. Or you can ask yourself, when was the first time you remember someone else telling you about that limiting belief? And then you identify all those memories, and then by identify them, you do half the work of releasing them, and then you can do some more journaling and work around releasing them consciously. And also, past life regressions are a great way to release past life limiting beliefs, because many of our limiting beliefs have come from our past life. And a process that I use when I work with people is a new modality called IEMT, Integral Eye Movement Therapy, where you identify the limiting belief and the traumatic memories associated with it, and then you desensitize those traumatic memories by moving your eyes in a specific way that communicates to your brain that those memories are no longer valid, and what you felt is no longer valid, and therefore you reprogram your mind when it comes to that. And of course, tapping. Many people know about tapping, EFT, which is another way. So many cognitive tools, but it's important to have this dual approach, cognitively and energetically, to fully release them.
And these are all techniques that obviously methods and techniques that you do, and you also teach, because you also have workshops and you teach, and there's a lot of that information in both your books, which are going to be linked and down below in the description box, along with how you can reach George with his website and everything down there. So do you want to tell everyone a little bit what you teach and what is the value of these workshops that you do?
Yes, of course. So my main purpose is to help lightworkers to find and follow their life purpose. So everything I do is around that. So I teach monthly workshops that have to do with everything related to finding and following your life purpose. Workshops around like defining your life purpose, or energy protection, or manifestation, or nurturing your light. And also I help intuitive readers drop their dependence on divination tools when it comes to giving readings, so that they can be their own channel and just channel intuitive guidance when they're giving readings to people, because that's something I do as well. I work a lot with people. I do psychic clearing sessions where I scan people's energy. I identify all these blocks going on in their energy, and then I guide them to release them. Or PastLife Regressions, another one of the services I offer. So I teach Intuition Mastery School, which is my signature program, which is all about dropping your reliance on tarot and oracle cards. As much as I love them, I use them all the time. It's just a matter of are you depending on them, or are you just using them for support?
And you obviously teach them online.
Yes, I work 100% online.
100% online. Is it like a live workshop, or are these pre-recorded videos that people can just download and watch on their own time? Do you is there like a back and forth where they want to ask you if they don't understand something, or do you do some practice work?
Yes, so Intuition Mastery School, which is my signature program, is a pre-recorded program. I launch it twice a year, so now registration is closed at this point. And when people just get on my email list you can easily go to georgelizos.com/life purpose, get your free guide to find your life purpose, and then you'll be on my email list, and then you'll know when that launches next. But all my other workshops, I launch them as time goes by. And soon I'm launching my membership as well, which will be a more steady way for people to just be subscribed to me and learn from me and with me month after month.
And before you go, do you want to talk a little bit about your books? I mean, you've mentioned the books. You have two books. One of them is a best-selling book called Lightworkers Gotta Work. And you have a podcast as well. So before we go, just tell everyone a little bit about the content.
Of course. So my two books is Lightworkers Gotta Work, the ultimate guide to following your purpose and creating change in the world. And that's for lightworkers who know they have a purpose, they don't know how to find it and how to go about fulfilling it. So if that's you, Lightworkers Gotta Work, that's the best book for you. If you're just starting out on your spiritual path, Be the Guru would be the ideal book for you, because it's a step-by-step system to getting started on your spiritual path and becoming your own spiritual teacher, so you don't depend on other teachers for support, so you don't create codependency. And of course, I have my podcast, the Lit Up Lightworker podcast, where I interview experts and best-selling authors around all kinds of magical topics. And another way you can learn from me is my YouTube channel. I have new weekly videos every single week, and also my Facebook group, Your Spiritual Toolkit, where I also share daily, and of course Instagram at George Lizos, where I am there every single day sharing value in my stories and in my posts.
They'll find all the details down below. I'll link everything so you can't miss it, and you'll be able to reach out to George anytime you want. Well, I mean, we've come to half an hour. We made it, George. Can't believe it. We said half an hour. We made it.
Yes, thank you so much. I really enjoyed this conversation. Thank you so much for all that you do, Natalie.
Oh, no, me too. Thank you for coming on. And I think we should have a part 2 and get more. I think we should dive in a little bit more onto this topics. You know, what we do here, what I do with Mystic Voices is really trying to bring spiritual topics more mainstream, if you want. So, and bringing spiritual leaders, so people who are having their spiritual awakening and their enlightenment now understand what this is all about, how they can help themselves and help others. And this is why we're all come together. And of course, we want to help each other, and really just because by helping each other, we're helping the collective. And that's what we want, especially now, because the collective needs it right now. There's a lot going on. So
yes,
the age of Aquarius, and to say the least, I mean, there's so much going on. But George, it was an absolute pleasure to have you here today. I'm sure we'll have a part 2. I'm sure you'll come back at some point and just go deeper into all of this. I don't know. Is there anything else? Did I forget to mention anything? No?
That's all. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And thank you for watching, everyone. Till next time. Bye.